I think that the fabric that is the same is human relationships. People really still care about their grandkids. They care about the fact that they have moved closer to their family to be with their grandkids. That's universal. The universal stories that bring human connection and to just love that person for who they are, despite the political differences.
think it's one of those things. I think at the end of the day, most of us are team human. And so I
Right.
think the more and more we're able to form those actual human connections, the one on one experiences with people, I think really changes and shapes them. Join me, Jeremy Swick, on Into the Unknown, a podcast that delves into the personal journeys, stories, and experiences of individuals across diverse professions. As a historian by trade, I firmly believe that our personal histories shape our present and offer valuable insights into our paths ahead. With that being said, let's get into it. On this episode of Into the Unknown, I am joined with Reverend Dr. William E. Flippin Jr. How are you doing today, my friend?
Jeremy, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing well. Today is my daughter's been out of school spring break, and we were supposed to go to Legoland, kind of near Florida, Orlando, maybe just north of Orlando. And what we ended up going, my wife couldn't get off of work, so I took her to Legoland, Atlanta today. We had a good time.
I
So you
love it.
sometimes have to adjust to your circumstances. Today was one of those days. We had a lovely, lovely day. We went to the zoo yesterday, so I'm doing pretty good.
William, I love to hear that. I love that you mentioned having to adjust to your circumstances. It's one of those things you really never know what life will throw at you.
That's true. Absolutely.
Well, I like to kick off the show, talk about the importance of networking. So, how are we connected?
Well, we're connected by a mutual friend, Olivia Atkins, who is a person that is beyond connecting through podcasts, but I believe that she has a gift of connecting, pleasant personality. Never met her, but just I can tell that she has kindred spirits, just like you. Even over the screen, you feel her energy. She's thorough without being anal. She's personable, but yet professional. So she has those dichotomies of herself, and she is, comfortable in her own skin. So that's how we connected
Like,
through Olivia Atkins.
I couldn't agree with Olivia. Man, she's just so great to be around, a great connector, and someone I just enjoy talking to. I want to know a little bit more about you. Think comic book issue number one, origin story. Who are you?
I was born 8 days before the bicentennial of our country. I could have very easily been a 4th of July baby, bicentennial baby. So born in the mid 70s, a period of transition, a little bit after the Watergate scandal. Um, but I came into the world, at least as far as birth order, the eldest of four children. But even deeper than that is that I'm the oldest grandchild on both sides. And particularly my mother's family, it was a family of high achievers. Just imagine 6 kids. Four were valedictorians, including my mom. The other two, that do too shabby, were salutatorians. Um, one sibling, my mother's sibling, was the first African American engineering graduate at Vanderbilt University. Five of the six, including my mom, went to Vanderbilt University, and one went to Northwestern University. Two are medical doctors. So, being the oldest grandchild, you don't come out the womb knowing this, but I realized, about maybe age 7 or so, that as the eldest grandchild, to maybe continue that trajectory of excellence, maybe not exactly like of those high achievements, and also on the spiritual religious side, my grandfather, maternal grandfather, pastored in Nashville, Tennessee, a Baptist church for 43 years. My father, when I was younger, which I don't even remember, was engineer, trained to be an engineer. But the reason why we moved to Atlanta in 1979 a month before my third birthday was him beginning seminary. So seeing, a strong black man with my same name, we share the same name, in ministry, what was a lot of, expectations from my family and their achievement, but also the dichotomy of being a preacher's kid too, as well. The sometimes hate or that you get from that to um, have expectations or cynically to improve the perfect family. So, I grew up, but I'm saying this to say that I had a wonderful childhood. I really did. My parents they exposed us to many things. One thing that sticks out in my mind: going to the Easter egg hunt at the age of 9 in Washington D.C. I remember I met Jay Schrader, who was the quarterback of the Washington Redskins at that time. We went on Amtrak. And to this day, I love trains. So those little moments of, they might not have had the resources. We didn't grow up poor, but I think we grew up, probably middle class in a good way. In some ways, the neighborhood that I grew up goes back and forth for Princess George's County in Maryland as the wealthiest African American neighborhood in the United States. So, I mean, you're just a product of where you grew up. You're not really understanding that then, but you look back now. So I had a wonderful childhood. My parents exposed us, saw our gifts, cultivated our gifts. What they saw in me is not being a preacher. Far from that. They didn't say, "Oh, you're gonna be." I never would get that. You're gonna be a preacher, but they did see keen intellectual gifts because I have a photographic memory to do something that would not necessarily change the world. They came later, but to maybe be a professor, a lawyer, or something that would educate and to be professional. My own vocation, I mean, notwithstanding to when I was younger, I wanted to be a pilot. But once I got settled into college and others, I really wanted to be a Baptist deacon and a public defender, a lawyer, but to help, homeless and those who couldn't afford legal services. So that's what I wanted to do. And in some ways, I'm still doing that. Um, Not the Baptist deacon, but I'm certainly, on boards that really specialize in advocacy and transition teams of lawyers. I'm on the Conviction Integrity Committee for a DA in Fulton County. So I am just pleased. I don't have any regrets in life. Only maybe regret that if I had to do over. There's only one thing, is that probably when I was 18 or maybe a little bit older, that instead of hearing the chorus of you go to college, get a good job, be respectful, that I would have been a little bit more entrepreneurial. Probably like exploring, opening a franchise or being privy to stocks and understanding that. So that's my only thing that I wish I kind of to know, that life is more than just a 9 to 5 job, but also entrepreneurial, taking risks, good risk, and capitalizing on that. I understand that now. But then I've been married to my wife for 21 years, been with her for 27 years, and we're so fortunate to have the apple of our eyes, our daughter, who's 6 years old in kindergarten. And it's been a good adventure to see where she'll be going to in the first grade. And as I mentioned, I'm the eldest of 4 siblings, 2 younger brothers who are Baptist pastors. My dad is a Baptist pastor, and my sister, who's the youngest.
When you graduated, left college, what was next on your journey?
Well, actually, I was at that point I was running from my call because I was so scared that the community didn't reinforce, that. So of course, when I now look back at it, I was running from that. Of course, I couldn't be a preacher, but that was the first inkling to say, okay, well, I really feel a deep embedded call to serve humanity. That's being a public defender, go to the Peace Corps. But I actually went to law school, actually. And while in law school, I was selected to be a Mickey Leland intern for World Hunger and Peace. And they said, okay, instead of committing to 2 years or 27 months in the Peace Corps, get a taste of it during the summer as an intern, and then you can get to see if it's a good fit. But of course, to invest that type of money, the interviews were rigorous. I think they selected maybe one out of every 10 or something like that, if that. So I was honored to be selected. But I realized that definitely I was ready for my call because I never could find satisfaction within myself. I mean, I built water latrines. I went to the remote villages of Africa, particularly it was at the Ivory Coast, and I realized that I was really running for my call. So I came back. I left early actually from the internship, and decided, and I was going to take some time to discern, but decided I was lucky enough to kind of start seminary when I got back based on just connections that my father had actually been on the board, and that was one of the best. And that was definitely a move of God, I think, for me to be in my greatest time in school, actually, to start there. It was supposed to just be for a period, then transfer to another school, but not to use that year to not be in study. And my purpose was at that time, and I wasn't just making this up at this time, that I would go to seminary because I was good even in college academically with Bible. I mean religion. I minored in religion, but I got my best grades in really even better than history. So I said I'd be like a professor, to be because I love the discipline of church history. Even then, I remember reading Martin Luther's biography by Roland Baton, which is probably still my favorite assessment of Martin Luther, and just fell in love with Martin Luther and the Reformation. I loved Anabaptist William R. Estep book. The Anabaptist story is still one of my favorites to this day. And the interplay of how religion shapes culture, and builds theological grounding. And then it just became more apparent. And then I got into the ministry, was ordained in the Baptist church along with my brothers. We preached our first sermons together. I think that the fabric that is the same is human relationships. People really still care about their grandkids. They care about the fact that they have moved closer to their family to be with their grandkids. That's universal. The universal stories that bring human connection. That's what I love to hear. So to a point, I'm mature enough to even have. I have a member like that now. He sent me something today actually to have divergent political persuasions, and about it, but really like each other, can still sit together and understand, and to just love that person for who they are, despite the political differences.
I think it's one of those things. I think at the end of the day, most of us are team human. And so, of course, we might have different views on things, but unfortunately, I think sometimes the loudest in the room get the most attention on both sides or whatever side you're looking at. And so I
Right.
think the more and more we're able to form those actual human connections, the one on one experiences with people, I think really changes and shapes them.
Oh, absolutely, it does. I think one of the, I've been every church that I've pastored, even as an interim, and now I've always, for whatever reason, been the first African American pastor. And one member that sticks out is one that when I first got to the church, she didn't speak to me. I remember she would pass by me, and she called me after years of just loving her, loving me, and she called me. I wasn't the pastor anymore, and she just said, "I want to let you know I loved you and your wife, Kendra, very much, and I wanted to call you before I died."
on everyone's journey, everyone's path. They have a chance to make a decision, not really knowing the outcome. They could go east, they could go west. Can you give me a time where you made a decision, not really knowing the outcome and how it turned out?
What comes to mind is 2017, God blessed us with our only child. 2018, probably pound for pound, was the greatest year of my life. I had finally had what we prayed for, 14 years of marriage, a daughter, settled in my present church, been pastor for 6 years, where you, and by that time, you're the pastor in my favorite city, which is Atlanta. And you know how great Atlanta is.
Yes.
And I just kept on seeing signs of, I mean, I was getting asked and asked to go to this place, go to that place. No, no, I'm happy in Atlanta. No, no, I'm happy in Atlanta. But you see those signs, and I went in blind faith to Philadelphia to become director of evangelical mission, assistant to the bishop. And I go to my grave. I heard from God. I left a not yet 2 year old daughter. That was the hardest thing. She doesn't remember it, thank God. And I went to Philadelphia, and just based on hearing the voice of God when I was most comfortable, most happy in my favorite city. And I didn't know really the outcome. I mean, it's not as spiritual as it may think, because I did have a maybe motive to go to Philadelphia to excel my religious career. So it wasn't all total spiritually, but for the most part it was. And the outcome actually of why I went there, because really was not as successful as I thought. I enjoyed doing the job, but I was only there for 7 months. I always say by the time I kind of got used to it at best, that's when I came back home because of the pandemic. And what I thought I was going to be there for, what I knew I was good at, of helping transition churches, mission, innovation, because I did some of that even when I was pastoring, and I enjoyed it when I was doing it. And meeting people became more of me helping those with trauma during the pandemic, which caused me to realize I'm good at that too, of helping, which I'm doing. I'm really good, I think, as an interim pastor. So um, I'm good with helping those with transition. I mean, for whatever I can hone in, I can be focused with a crisis. I'm good with conflict resolution. So what I realized though, Jeremy, is that two things in life, two lessons I learned, is that when you hear from God, you think that He's moving you for a better, in your mind, outcome than where you are. But like with Abraham in the Bible, he said, "Go to a place I will show thee." But he still didn't listen exactly what God said, because he brought Lot. He didn't say bring Lot. And God stopped talking. There was confusion until Lot left. He had to get rid of Lot. So I learned that when you hear from the voice of God, you can't predict of how it's going to take place. Jonah thought he was going to destroy Nineveh. So in his mind, it's like, did I come here? I came here to warn them and destroy them. He was mad because what he sacrificed for didn't happen. But God is still God, even if it's not the outcome of what you want. But over time and process, I realized the lesson is to not ever get too settled and always hear from God. And also, I learned that really what came out of it is that I became really close. And they wrote me a couple of days ago that they missed my preaching to a Episcopal church in Philadelphia. And it showed me that sometimes relationships that you are trying to cultivate, the best ones are those that you don't try to do, that just happen naturally, as opposed to, if something is too hard, in my opinion, if something is too hard as far as relationships, it feels like a strain, or it seems like every time you get close is a barrier, it might not be for you. The things that are for you happen naturally. You can like, I knew that one of my gifts was teaching. When I'm not kidding you, Jeremy. I had one time the flu. The flu. and I even apologized to the class. I said, last week I had the flu. I'm feeling my best. And they were like, we couldn't even tell. So that's how natural I want life to be. As far as human relationships, just walking in the ease of my calling. And also, sometimes people's calling, I've realized this, is to be in transitional situations, to go into places that people don't want to go, and that's hard. But it's still easy because you're called to do it. It's hard and humanized, but it's easy because you're called to do that.
I love that you mentioned that. It's one of those things I've realized at the museums I've been at, I'm the bridge. I'm getting them from point A to point B to get to that next level to help build an archive or build exhibits or things like that, but really to get them to that next level. I like laying the groundwork, even though to a lot of people it's the hardest, it's the least enjoyable to set out the standards and practices and kind of the roadmap to get people to the next level. It's one of those things that I think I really enjoy. And when I feel my job's accomplished at a place, I'm kind of ready to move on, even though to the outside eye, it might not look like why would he ever leave, if that makes sense.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. I think that once it's a great. I think it was Charles Dickens who said it's two most important days of a person's life: the day they were born and the day they know why they were born. And once you find peace into why you were born, it's a great feeling.
Title of the podcast, Into the Unknown. What are you working on? What do you have going on now?
I have one of the things that I always say that even with all the endeavors I have, integrative endeavors, whether it's real estate, franchising, and ministry, I'm definitely called to ministry. I always go back to that. But I think what I have looming really at the forefront is me being a franchise broker with a franchise consulting company. In Atlanta, we're having the great franchise expo. The franchise consulting company, they have their own, they own that. So they go around the country to various cities. I think they were Fort Lauderdale, Dallas the other week, and they'll be in Atlanta. And they do it every year, but it's different cities. But Atlanta has been a constant, like the first week in May. So I'm definitely going to be into that, but I'm looking for entrepreneurs in general that are willing to, and maybe we can work something out. If they want exposure to have a booth, I'm looking for entrepreneur leaders, franchise leaders, particularly if they're minority, and I say that tongue in cheek because the minority is becoming the majority. But as far as demographics, but black, brown, Asian, those who are um, in business transition who are looking to franchise their business or help people with their consultants. So I'm making a clarion call to you don't have to live in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's convenient, but you can live in the surrounding areas. And I promise you that I will work with all of you to give you, if not a wonderful discount on a booth, if not even better than a discount. So if you're interested, feel free to contact me at wflippin, Flippin, wflippin at the franchise at THE franchise consulting company.com.
I
So
love
so
that.
that's happening next 4 weeks to the next month.
I love that, man. We'll make sure to link that in the show notes. If people want to learn more about your story, are you on social media? Do you get out there much?
I do. You see me with real estate. Um, also, posting videos, Facebook. You mostly see me, so you see wide array of me doing things. I guess what I really like doing is meeting with different, interfaith groups, good friends with particularly the Jewish community, working with them with projects and understandings. I did a Shabbat service in January with a rabbi. It was a Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Shabbat service. I love doing that and just being involved in the community and for the purposes of networking and building. Yes.
Well, William, I just want to take time to just thank you for talking with me today. It was a great conversation, and I really appreciated it.
No, Jeremy, thank you. Thank you for this time. Thank you for all you do. And look, I'm glad for the connection and look forward to mutual networking times together.
Can't wait. And I'll definitely let you know when I'm in Atlanta.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Jeremy.
That was another fun episode of Into the Unknown. I truly appreciate you taking the time to listen. And if it provides you any value or entertainment, I would love if you shared it with others, liked, subscribed, and really just help the podcast grow. Again, tell a friend, tell a foe, just anyone who might enjoy hearing some stories of people's own journeys and what got them to where they are today. Till next time.